Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 just wrapped up, and there's a lot to talk about because one, a very important thing that a lot of anime original ending theorists were expecting to happen didn't happen, and now the entire fan base behind this theory is completely twisted. You know, I kind of was like that at the beginning, I ain't gonna lie. If you watched my last video, then you know that I was kind of on the fence about it again, but no. If I'm gonna believe, I'm gonna believe. Attack on Titan's anime original ending is gonna happen, we're still believing, we're still in this, and I'm gonna explain to you why it's still a massive possibility. Do not lose hope. Okay, so we gotta talk about something very important, and that is the fact that nothing will actually change in the anime until chapter 138. Now let me explain, okay? I don't think that anything is actually gonna change until 138. The reason it's 138 specifically is something I'll get into later in the video, but for now let me explain why I actually think this. And it's because, well, in chapter 123, Eren and Mikasa's conversation was expected to go in a different direction. We expected Mikasa to say something not along the lines of "you're like family to me." And that's what she ended up saying in both the anime and the manga, which pissed a lot of people off because that moment was very important. But if you really think about it, that answer was what caused Eren to do the rumbling. It wasn't necessarily that answer that caused him to stop the rumbling, if that makes sense. What caused him to stop the rumbling was something completely different, and that was just his own decision deep down. In the See You Later timeline, which I previously discussed in my other anime original ending videos, Mikasa's answer is different. It's purely different. And that's what leads Eren into living the rest of his days with her instead of doing the rumbling. But again, in the manga and the anime timeline, her answer was both the same, which means in both timelines he does the rumbling, which is actually true in this case. They must animate until chapter 138. Now, they're going to animate 131 all the way to 138 exactly the same as the manga. That's what I'm speculating, except there is one single moment that I think may possibly change and may also not change at the same time. And that moment is where Eren and Armin talk in the paths in chapter 131. So in 131, the bird shows up beside Armin, which symbolizes that Eren and Armin talked in paths in that moment, and this gets cleared up to us in chapter 139. Again, this bird symbolizes Eren. So if this doesn't happen in chapter 131, which will be animated next year, which is still crazy to think about, then that means that Eren and Armin will not talk in paths. Now let me explain why I think this is still highly unlikely, why I think that they will still animate this moment. You see, if the ending really is going to be different, then Eren's conversation with Armin will have to be vastly different. It's not going to be something like the manga where it's just a completely happy conversation. Something has to change, because if right now Eren is living as though he was living in the manga timeline, he must receive memories in some way, or he must know in some way that he is in fact in a time loop. Again, this theory is a time loop theory. It's a theory where everything happens up to a certain point the exact same as the previous timeline, which means everything up until a certain point will be the exact same. And that certain point that will change everything is chapter 138, or whatever episode it gets animated into, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So in chapter 138, Mikasa kills Eren, and the reason she kills him, the reason she's able to kill him is because of the dream she sees, the other side of the dream that Eren had in chapter 1 of the manga. So what if, when this chapter gets animated, because there is no See You Later in the anime, it means that in the anime Mikasa will somehow hesitate to kill Eren. Instead, she will not kill Eren, and thus Eren will continue his rumbling some way or another. Because if you think about it, this whole See You Later stuff will make absolutely no sense if it gets animated into the anime with no context from the first chapter like there was in the manga. So the first episode of the anime is completely different from the manga in terms of Eren's dream, and if they animate everything the exact same in chapter 138, then things just don't add up, which means Attack on Titan gets retconned. And to be honest, if the same ending does happen, then it just wouldn't make as much sense. It would make less sense than it did in the manga. That's the problem. And it's because everything was foreshadowed for a different ending. Everything is led up to a different ending. I don't think it makes sense to follow the same exact path. So, something has to happen with Eren. He must receive some kind of memory, or he must at least wake up to the fact that he is in a time loop, which means he will continue moving forward like he always says. Another theory I saw in some comment on some video was that what if Mikasa walks into the Titan's neck and Eren is not there? Could you imagine how crazy that would be? Just think about that for a second. But again, what I think is most likely to happen is everything until 138 gets animated like it's supposed to get animated, and then 138 will be something different. Mikasa will see a different memory. She will hesitate to kill Eren. Eren may or may not kill her, and then continue the rumbling in some way. That way, I don't know. I may elaborate in a further video, but that's it for now. Okay, this is about a week after I recorded this video, but I still want to clarify my point. This anime original ending has definitely decreased in the likelihood of being possible. However, in my opinion, it is still a great possibility. There is still more of a chance of it happening than it not happening. While it might be significantly less than it was before, there is still a good amount of belief within me that they will at least change something about this ending, because again, there's so many hints that I cannot deny. Even if you can deny some of the hints that are stretches like the bird theory, you cannot deny the fact that the dreams were different. That the sound director literally said in an interview, I'm not going to get over that. That sound director stuff is crazy. The lyrics in a number of songs like Akatsuki no Requiem, multiple openings and endings just keep foreshadowing this kind of ending. They keep foreshadowing an A&R style ending. I'm not going to get over this just because Mikasa's answer was different, and just because in the episode prior, the bird was white. The Attack on Titan anime original ending has to continue, or else Attack on Titan's anime ending will make less sense than it did in the manga ending, and just saying that is quite a scary thing. I'll wait till 2023, Sayama. Just make sure you do something good.